Hi, this is Justin speaking, and welcome back to another episode of Cartoon Theory. The following is for a theory on Teen Titans Go, so if you're not into it, I wouldn't blame you. So, has Robin's leader obsession gone way too far? Yes it has. I'm pretty sure in the original 2003 series, his character was more calm, kind-hearted, and even a martial arts fighter. That's why he had episodes like The Quest or Haunted. But when Teen Titans Go got greenlit 10 years later, this got rebooted more into a love of bossing the Titans around, with a few martial arts skills kinda there. His obsession for bossing the Titans around got so extreme in the first 4 seasons of Teen Titans Go that at the end of them he was ready to crane kick the Titans because of his desperate need to be the all-American boy next door and manipulate the Titans into having Thanksgiving against their wishes. This is a clear-cut case of Flanderization. If you don't know what it is, allow me to explain. Flanderization is a television trope where a character's single personality trait is exaggerated over time until it completely replaces their original, well-rounded personality, which is Starfire's love for cats, or Robin's obsession with bossing the Titans around, or in Ned Flanders' case, his love of religion. The term comes from The Simpsons, but a better example than Ned would be SpongeBob SquarePants, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a second. In the first 3 seasons, SpongeBob started out as just kind of a naive but nice guy. And as the show went on, he got more childish, more annoying, and he got stupider and stupider and stupider. The writers, when questioned on this, basically said, we need to top ourselves in terms of comedy every year to make the show better and fight off seasonal rot and get people to keep coming back. So to do that, we need to push Sponge's stupidity and annoyance to greater lengths. Whether or not this is something that was needed, I don't really know. I kind of get what they're saying, but I feel like there are better ways to go about writing humor than just making your character dumber and dumber. You see how this relates back to Robin and Teen Titans Go as a whole. They wanted to keep topping themselves in terms of humor, so they made him more bossy and strict and willing to do more extreme things for what he wants, which led to the horrible things he did in Season 4. Which would make sense why they would push it so far, because that was supposed to be the end of the show. They didn't need to push it further, they didn't need any more room for it to be pushed further, because that was it. There were no more jokes to be made. Of course, that didn't stop the show for continuing for another decade. The big problem with all of this is that Flanderization might help comedy-wise in terms of making the jokes, more memorable and more extreme and topping what they previously did, but it is a giant leap backwards in the story department. Having a character who always bosses his team around is not interesting. Having a character who will do almost anything to get what he wants isn't interesting. It'd be more interesting if Robin actually turned down his leadership at this point, because he loves bossing the Titans around so much, you're willing to believe that he'd sacrifice the Titans to the devil just to get what he wants. It's not a surprise anymore. It's not a mystery. It's not anything. It's just so many of his plot lines, whenever he shows up in the episode, has to do with his drill sergeant leadership, that it's no longer interesting. I don't care anymore. I've seen it a million times before, and I've seen it, the greatest logical step in it, which is to kill the Titans in the Oregon Trail, essentially. And on top of story problems, I don't think the Flanderization helps the comedy either. Not when the show goes on for as many episodes as it does, and as Robin as many of them as it does. There's no longer any tension or mystery to his character. If 99% of the time, whatever he does when he shows up has something to do with his control freak nature, that's not surprising in any way. It's not funny because it's not surprising. You see it coming from a mile away. So they have to be really clever with a joke, otherwise it won't work. And story-wise, just completely flatline because you know exactly what's going to happen. Robin will want the Titans to do something that they don't want to do because they'd rather mind their own business. Duh! But you know what? I don't want the control freak thing to go away entirely. It's a core part of his character at this point, and has given the fans of Teen Titans Go some interesting episodes over the years. I just wish they would reel it back a bit, because it's gotten way too far. If they pull it back and reset it to a much lesser place, then they continue topping themselves for a little while longer, knowing that the show's going to go on for decades. They'll be able to plan it out a little bit more progressively, so it doesn't get as bad as extreme it is right now. Because some of the best Robin episodes in Teen Titans Go are about him that doesn't have him torture the Titans or in any way or in a reduced manner. I think there are a lot of very interesting aspects to his character. The fact that he worked with Batman, the fact that he grew up in the circus, the fact that he was a martial artist, the fact that he's into Starfire. I think there are other great aspects to his character that hardly ever get expanded on. Instead, you just get him as a complete control freak bully. I think they need to cut down the episodes that have Robin trying to make the Titans better crime fighters. I don't need him to pop in and say, Titans, do some crime fighting or you're fired. Having Robin basically go all Glenn Ross on the Titans and always be crime fighting. I think that was the biggest misstep they've ever made with his character. It's about mixing things up a bit. It's about creating some suspense back into his character. It's about making the show a lot less predictable and better, both comedically and in a story sense. So yeah, I think they went way too far with Robin's strict leadership, and they really need to reel it back in a lot. Join me again soon for another Cartoon Theory. Bye for now.